Okay, today's class is yoga for anxiety. If you have a band or something that you can wrap around your lower legs, feel free to grab that. If not, we're just going to imagine we're pushing into the band. And if you have a block, whoops, dropped mine, yoga block or something about that size, grab that. Again, you can make do without props. You can imagine, as long as we're just looking for ways to teach us how to engage certain muscle groups. So if you can just imagine that there's a block or imagine that there's a band, you're going to get kind of the same effect anyway. We're just looking to find muscle groups. So band, block, and we are going to move and breathe and try to release some tension in the lower legs. Strengthen our base. Sometimes strengthening our base can help us feel more grounded. So it can help with anxiety. So we're going to start on our backs. Come on down to your back. Start to land. So find your hips on the ground and try and get your hips on the ground in a comfortable position that your lower back can be soft. You're not forcing your lower back to the ground, so try not to roll that lower back to the ground. It pokes the pelvis up. Let the hips land. Find the position for the feet that is comfortable. So pay attention to your knees, pay attention to your ankles, pay attention to your low back. Maybe your feet are closer to your glutes. Maybe that's comfortable for you. Maybe they're further away. Play. Find your position. Don't just land in somebody else's concept of a pose. Have an experience of your own pose. Allow your knees to soften in towards each other, trying to get as soft as possible in your base. And then you're focusing so much on your base, notice what your shoulders are doing. Try to allow your shoulders to land on the ground. Try and allow your neck to have its nice, soft, natural curve. So no pushing your chin backwards and flattening your neck to the ground. Try to allow that softness in your neck. Maybe take a moment to pay attention to the fact that your skull is being supported by the ground. Almost as if you can tell all the muscles that support your skull that they can take a little break because your skull is currently supported. Check in with all the muscles we often hold tension in, the shoulders, the chest, the neck, the jaw. And pay attention to your hands. What are your hands doing? Are you gripping? Try to bring some softness into the palms and fingers. Bring your awareness to the center of your forehead and notice if you're gripping here. Maybe imagine a little ball of energy or some softness that can land right on the forehead and start to soften all the way across the forehead to the temples. And then land on the breath, maybe even just bringing your hands gently underneath the rib cage, as long as it doesn't bring tension back into your shoulders and your neck. And just paying attention to the breath and particularly the space underneath the rib cage area. Sometimes with our breath, we can have a little tension. We can have a little gripping in the muscles around our stomach and around our breath. So just placing your awareness here. And if you notice gripping, try not to be frustrated with it. Just bring your awareness here. Notice it. Sometimes just by noticing our tension, our body can begin the process of resetting. And then begin to lengthen the inhale And make the exhale even slower, as if really paying attention to making sure you get all of the breath out of the lungs, ready for fresh. And as you're breathing here, notice if there's a gentle pause in your breath anywhere. Maybe there's a firm pause, maybe there's some gripping. Just notice. And then see if you can begin to place the pause at the end of the exhale, really making sure we're getting rid of energy. So breathe in fully, exhale fully, and then just add a gentle pause, not long enough to create fear, not long enough to increase the gripping, just a gentle, soft pause. And then thinking about that breath practice, just wiggle your feet about hip width apart. Place your feet on the ground, feel your feet, and we're going to go straight into moving and breathing with that same breath practice. So really gentle, really soft moving and breathing. We're going to inhale, lift our hips, exhale, lower, and then gentle pause. So trying to add that gentle pause. Inhale, slowly, slowly, slowly lift the hips. Exhale, lower, 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 really slow. Add the gentle pause. Maybe even keeping your eyes closed and really just feeling from the feet to the hips, all the breath, having an internal experience. Try not to lift the hips so high that we're getting a big arch. We're not really trying to have a spinal activity here. We're just trying to move and breathe. Find our breath. Then let your hips land soft, body soft, maybe rock the knees slowly side to side. And we're going to continue to move and breathe, but again soft, not strong muscular action, just lifting our arms up overhead with the inhale. Exhale, bring them back down towards the hips, nice and slow, really feeling the exhale as long and slow as you can. Add a gentle pause and then begin again. Inhale, nice and slow and soft. Exhale, slow, slow, slow as you can. And then add a gentle pause. Trying to have an internal meditative experience with your own breath and the movement of your body. And then land the arms down. Slowly bring a knee in at a time to the chest. Maybe rock it. We're going to take the feet up towards the ceiling. Look at your feet. Start to point and flex and take some movements in your feet. Really looking at your feet. So then point the toes to the ceiling. You can have as much bend in the leg as possible. We're focusing on the feet right now. So point your toes to the ceiling. Point tight, tight, tight. So point the toes. Start to feel the muscles in the top of the feet. Then curl the toes under. Curl, 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 tight, tight, tight. Then spread the toes wide. Really looking at your feet, starting to think about all the muscles that you use to make any of the movements we're going to make. We're trying to have a mind-body connection. So then bring the toes soft. Let the toes be nice and soft. And then pull the feet without the toes, not active toes, pull the feet down towards the shins. So try to do this with soft toes. See if you can do this without the toes doing the work. And notice any compensation patterns that are going to start to happen. You may feel some muscles in the hips and the low back. Really trying to think about your feet and your ankles and the lower muscles of your legs. Breathing, pull the feet down and then push the balls of the feet away. Again, trying to have soft toes. Push the balls of the feet away. And then roll the feet as if you're rolling your ankle, push to the side. So as if you're having a sprained ankle, you're going to push your ankle over to the side. Push, still trying to have soft toes. Notice if you can do it. You're going to push the knife edge of your foot away from you, around and away. As if you just tripped over a stick. And then roll the inside edge of your foot in. And see if you can push with the inside edge of your foot up to the ceiling without using the toes, soft toes. Notice what's going on in the hips. Notice what's going on in the back. Notice your face. Notice your hands. Soften your hands. And then bring both feet, turn them in. So turning your feet in towards each other, pigeon toe. So notice what's going on in the hips. Try to soften the toes. Really try to use some more muscles in the legs and the feet and the ankles, sorry. And then switch, turn the toes out. Hold. If you're feeling anything in the lower back, any compensation patterns in the lower back, try just pushing your hips down into the ground and take a little break in the lower back. So use the stomach to push the hips down. Maybe even need to push the rib cage down a little into the ground. Pull the feet out. And then lower the left leg. Put the foot on the ground, knee up. We're going to hover the right leg. We're going to point without strong point. So just pointing the toes. We're going to take a really small circle with this leg. So slow and tight circle. Smallest circle you can take with this leg. Noticing compensation patterns. And if your low back is doing all the work, bring the leg up a little higher. Really slow, tight circles. Now, pull the toes towards the shin. Push the ball of the foot away and do your circle. See if that changes the muscle group. So now your toes are active. It's like you're standing in a stiletto. You're pushing the ball of the foot away and pulling the toes back. And then bring the knee in and push the leg away. Nice and slow and tight. Knee in, push the leg away. Inhale as you draw in, exhale as you push, 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 push. Nice and slow. And then place the right leg down. Take a little shuffle of the knees and the hips. Bring the left leg up to a hover. Point the toes away. Foot and leg are strong. And then little tight circles. Watching the lower back. So making sure this is in the leg. This is a leg exercise, not a back exercise. So watch those compensation patterns. Push the hips down into the ground. Soften the face. Soften the shoulders. And then push the ball of the foot away. Draw the toes back to you. Same little tight circles, small, small, small. And then draw the knee in as you inhale, exhale as you push the foot away. Slow, tight, finding muscles. Then bring both knees into the chest. Soften, reset, maybe even kick the feet a little. Pedal, kick, loosen. Soften the feet. Shake them a little. Get some wiggles around in the lower legs and the feet. And then roll on over side and make your way to tabletop. And we'll move and breathe here. So now, if you like, you can practice tucking your toes. If this is too much, feel free to keep the feet face down. So the front of the feet down. Inhale in tabletop, exhale to child. And if you like, maybe even adding that same gentle pause. Inhale very slow and deep. Exhale even slower, 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 and then maybe a gentle pause. Starting to feel your base. So starting to feel the feet on the ground. Have an experience of a movement from the fingertips all the way to the toes, and the toes all the way to the fingers. And then come forward to tabletop, tuck the toes, start to take some weight into the hands. And we're going to do that same thing, moving across the hands, feeling weight in different sides. So left and right this time. A little movement, changing it up. And then tucking the toes, lift the knees to a hover, take the weight a little bit more onto the right hand, a little bit more onto the left hand, nice and slow. Left and right, engaging the stomach, starting to find some muscular control. And then onto the right hand, maybe inhale, lift up, exhale, lower. Inhale, lift, open, expand, exhale, lower. Finding your breath. You can begin to straighten your legs and take this into full plank or remain bent kneed and tabletop. Find where you're at today. Find where you can remain strong and stable, maybe a little closer to your strength edge, but not so much that you're folding and collapsing into joints. Lower the knees. Come back to tabletop. Turn the left hand, fingertips towards the left knees. Left knee. Press some weight into the left hand. So just experience taking some weight into the left hand in a different angle. Once you feel like you're putting weight into the left hand, don't sink in, lift up. So as if you're lifting the chest up out of the ground, using the muscles to pull you back out of the ground. Breathe. And then switch sides. Right hand comes towards right knee. And then take a little weight. Lift up into that right arm. Build some strength in a different angle. And then bring it back. Turn the left hand palm up, fingertips towards you, and just feel like you're pulling the hand away from you. Land it on the ground and feel like you're pulling it away without letting it move. And then switch sides. And then option, depending on where your arms and shoulders are at, you can come down to forearm for this next sequence. Or if you feel like your hands are plenty strong and your shoulders are plenty strong and you want to stay up in tabletop, you can. We're going to take our right leg back even with the hip. We're going to push the ball of the foot away and pull the toes towards the shin, just as we did on our backs. We are going to be very mindful that we're not sinking into our back or our shoulders. So lift up out of the ground. Find some muscular action. Maybe take the shoulders, hands wide for the shoulders. Find the position that you feel nice and sturdy and stable in. Hold this, pull the toes towards the shin, everything tight. Little tiny circles. Tiny, 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 tiny circles with this leg. Small as you can go. Tighten it up. Find some muscles. Try not to sink into the shoulders. You can also find your block here. Just rest your shoulders on the block. Rest your forearms on the block. As long as you're still lifting up out of the ground, not sinking into joints, hanging out at the base of a joint. Switch the direction of your circle, nice and tight. And then while circling the leg, take the leg over to the right a little bit. Take it over to the right and bring it towards the right hand just a little bit. See how high you can keep the leg. See how tight you can keep your circle. Watch your compensation patterns. What's your face doing? Soften around the temples. And then slowly take the leg back towards the left leg. And then lower it back down. Take the hips all the way over towards the right side. Funky child. And then reset. Maybe make a different choice for your arms this time. Maybe take your hands a little closer together, a little further away from the shoulders, a little wider apart. Just make it something different, a different experience to build strength in a different angle. Take your left leg out. Left leg really, really, really strong. Point the ball of the foot away and then pull the toes towards the shin. So really strong muscles in the leg. Lift the chest and stomach up out of the ground and then begin your little tight circles. Tight, tight, tight circles. And then reverse the circles. And then begin to take your tight circles towards the left hand. Finding strong muscles, finding muscles in your foot.
I can't move my leg in circle at the same time. I'm over here, my leg is going in every direction. It's not a circle.
As slow and tight as you can. You have to focus. So while you're focusing on your circles, I'm going to ask you a question. How many times while you were trying to do this did you think about your grocery list or anything else that's been bothering you? Reverse the circles and bring the leg back towards the hip.
I'm just going back and forth. I can't circle while moving my leg.
And then bring the left knee down. Take the hips over to the left. Funky childs to the left. Take the tension out of the head and the neck. Maybe rest your head on your arm. Whatever feels good and comfortable. Find your breath. Find your grounding. And bring it back to center. Sorry, I'm laughing about Keely. Bring it back to center. We're gonna tuck our toes and come on up to down dog. So thinking about down dog, warm it up first, bending your knees, whatever you do to make yourself feel comfortable in this position. Maybe take the weight towards the heels and then towards the hands. Warming up this position. Connecting with your head below your heart and your breath and lifting your hips up out of the ground. This is an inversion pose. Connect with being upside down. Turn your world upside down. And then bend the knees. Take both heels over towards the right. And then send the heels towards the ground. They don't have to get to the ground. There's no goal. But just have that direction so that you're opening up the left side body and changing the shape of your feet. And maybe you can come onto the really, really right side of the right foot and bend the left leg. Just kind of play with the ankles and the movement of the foot. Have a little play with going in a different direction in your feet. And then bring it back to a down dog. Bend the knees, reset. And then take the heels all the way over to the left. Maybe you can land all the way on the left edge of that left foot. Just kind of play with the weight on the legs and the feet. Feeling your feet in a different shape. Maybe opening up right side body a little deeper. And then back to down dog. Bend the left leg, lift the right leg nice and slow. Point the ball of the foot away, pull the toes towards you, take tiny circles. And then see if you can take tiny circles as you bend the knee. And bring the right knee very, very slowly while tiny circling all the way towards the right elbow. And then land it behind. Find your low lunge. Start to have an experience with your legs in this position. Inhaling forward, exhaling, sending the right leg towards straight. Moving the weight around on the feet, changing the directions of the knees and ankles. Having an internal experience in your own body. Finding soft movement, slow, soft. Experiencing angles and twists and turns that your legs can make. And then land the weight a lot on this right leg. Little soft bend in the back leg so we can focus on the right leg. We're going to take the weight over onto the right edge of the right foot. Maybe even lift up the other side. So watch this. Do it with slow control. We're teaching our body to be able to come over onto this edge and be safe. Strengthening the foot in that direction. And then roll to the other direction. Send the knee very, very slowly over a little into the center. And then back, other way. Take a little soft movement, exploring all the muscles in the foot. Plant your foot down and then let your knee come a little tiny bit to the center. Roll it around in a circle. And then land in a low lunge with your leg bent. Inhale, rise up. Woo. Find your high lunge. Find your base. Maybe pop that back leg in for balance. So we're going to inhale, lift arms up, straighten legs. Exhale, sweep our breath away. Inhale, lift. Exhale, sweep. And you can begin to bring the torso over the front leg. Maybe make the movement a little bigger. Maybe even adding that gentle pause right at the end of the exhale. Find a high lunge. Find your base. Lift up out of the ground with your muscles. Soften the shoulders and face. Bring the weight onto the front leg. Tuck the toes under. So come under the toes. Come onto the front of the back foot. Weight on the left leg. Then land that foot and feel like you're pulling the foot towards you without letting it move. Maybe you can bring the torso up a little longer, starting to feel it all the way down in the front of the left leg. Then bringing the weight even stronger onto the right leg. Maybe you can pop up the toes, the left. Send the ball of the foot away, toes towards the shin. Maybe take a little tiny circle here. Tight, slow circle, watch your balance. And then slowly bring the circle over to the left. See how slow you can bring the leg left. See if you can bring it all the way forward. Woo! See, my hand is compensating and doing circles. Watch for compensation patterns. See if you can focus. Circle, circle, circle. Bring it forward. Point the foot forward. Circle, circle, circle. Tight circles. Reverse the circle. And then land it. Take your feet wide, about mat width apart, and move across the feet. Just slow, no muscle control, just moving across, sweeping across from edge to edge of the feet. Just teaching your legs that it's okay to move in all the directions that the ankles can move in. And having an experience with our feet. So where do you hold the tension in your feet? Try to lift one foot up as you exchange the weight onto the other. Feel it, move it around, plant it down in a different way. Lift up on the other one, feel it, move it around, plant it down. Feel your feet. And then step it back into mountain pose. Connect with the breath. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, prayer to our heart. 3 times. Inhale up. Exhale, prayer to heart. Inhale up. Prayer to heart. Hold. Connect to your center, maybe even bringing your prayer to your chest to help you feel that center. Feel your feet on the ground, wiggle the toes, soften the feet and legs. Grow a little taller from the crown of the head, soften the shoulders and face. And then we're going to take our arms out, even with the shoulders. Guess what? Circles for the arms. So arms out, even with the shoulders. Watch your compensation patterns in your back. Maybe you need to bend the legs a little just to take some of the pressure off the low back. Arms out, little tiny circles. Nice and strong and slow. Tiny circles, watching for your compensation patterns. Reverse your tiny circles. Nice and slow. Arms are in control. Their muscles are engaged. It's not even close. And then take your tiny circles out towards a T shape. Even with your shoulders, slow and controlled. Watch your face, watch your low back. And then take your tiny circles down towards your hips, slow as you can. Slow and controlled. Maybe sink your hips down a little and start to engage the legs. And then back the other way. So reverse your circles. Kaylee's giving up. They're just your arms. I didn't put weights in your arms. You can do it. Little tiny circles all the way back up to the T. And then little tiny circles all the way in towards center. And then take your little tiny circles down towards your hips. Engage the legs, engage the feet, engage the stomach, and we're going to start to sink the hips, bring the torso forward, and take our little tiny circles behind us, behind the hips. And then hold the arms here. We're going to inhale, sweep up, exhale, sweep down. Maybe even little pause. Inhale up. Exhale, sweep it away. Breathe in fresh. Sweep away what's no longer needed. Inhale, scoop up. Exhale, sweep away. And then bring it back. Mountain pose. Reset. Find your center. And then inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, swan dive it down. Touch the ground. Step back for high plank. Breathe and hold in a high plank. You can lower your knees. And then slowly as you can, adjust and lower all the way down to crocodile. So slow the movement down. All the way down, one hand on top of the other, forehead down, then shimmy the hips and soften and loosen and let go. We're going to move and breathe from crocodile. We're going to place our hands wherever it's comfortable for balance. Thinking about lifting the shoulders. Inhale as we lift. Exhale as we lower the shoulders. Just starting to connect with using all the muscles of the back. Squeeze the glutes, squeeze the legs, squeeze the entire back. Try not to focus on lifting the head, but lift the shoulders so that you're using the back evenly, finding all of the muscles in the back line. Maybe starting to lift the toes, maybe even starting to lift the hands. If you're lifting the hands, come to a T. Maybe starting to breathe in, breathe out, gentle pause. Inhale, exhale, gentle pause. And then bring it back to crocodile. Shimmy the hips. What can you let go of? Keeping your head down, lift both legs. You may need to tuck the pelvis just a tiny bit. Lift both legs. We don't want to lift really high. Just lift off the ground and get really long. So pushing the balls of the feet away from you. Bring the toes towards the shin. Activate the entire foot. And then guess what? Little tiny circles. Can you do the circles with both feet? Little tiny controlled circles. And once you've got the hang of that, maybe lifting the arms to a hover out to a T, and see if you can do Little tiny circles with the arms also. Watching for compensation patterns. The whole back should be used evenly. Slow it down and get it into control so that you know you're using your muscles, and then see if you can switch direction of your circles. See if you can do it. Arms and feet both go in the opposite direction. You really have to focus. And then bring it down, crocodile. Bend the knees, feet soft, legs soft. Take the feet, legs, hips, side to side. And then shimmy the hips a little, lower the legs. Take a deep breath in and sigh out of the mouth. What can you let go of? Perhaps a good time to notice left and right sides. And then tucking the toes. Push your hands into the ground. Lift like you're lifting your tailbone up with your stomach. Push back. High hip child pose or puppy pose. Thinking about space across the lower back. And then make your way to a down dog. Bend the right knee. Slowly lift the left leg high. Point the ball of the foot away. Pull the toes towards the shin. Whole leg strong and active. Little circles. Tight, tight, tight circles. And then we're keeping the circles. Start to slowly bend the left knee. And bring it towards the left wrist. Tight circles. Tiny circles. Making our way to low lunge. And then step it through. Find some movement in your low lunge. Inhaling forward and exhaling back. Land the weight on the left foot a lot, maybe a little soft bend in the back leg. And take the weight all the way over to the left edge of the foot. Pressing down. Bring it back through center and then take the knee just a little bit in towards center. And then just start to move really slow, left to right, finding the muscles in the leg and the foot and around the knee. All those protector muscles for when we stumble. And then bring the weight a lot into the front leg, bend in the back. Inhale, rise up. Find your high lunge nice and strong and balanced, maybe backing. Bringing that back leg in a little. Bring the weight onto the front leg and see if you can roll over the toes and place the front of the foot down. Bend the leg and then feel like you're pulling the right leg towards the left. Starting to activate the whole front of the right leg, maybe even bringing the torso up. You can start to feel it in the hip if you push the hip forward. So really feeling like you're pulling that right foot towards the left without letting it move. Breathe. And then weight really strongly on the right leg, left leg. Maybe you can pop up the right, Point the ball of the foot away, toes towards the shin, little tight circles. Watch your balance. Then maybe bringing those little tight circles out to the right. And you're slowly going to make your way all the way forward. With the right leg, little tight circles. Controlled, slow. All the way forward. Woo. And then land it wide on your mat and start to just move left and right with your legs. Lifting the feet, planting, lift, plant. Move your knees, move your hips, move your legs. Not tight muscles this time, just kind of moving. Go left to right, maybe starting to bring left hand towards right foot as you've come up. Slow, fluid, reset. And then step into mountain pose, connect with the breath. Inhale up, exhale, prayer to heart. Inhale, arms up, prayer to heart. Hold your prayer at your heart. Maybe soften the eyes, close. Find the breath. Get really tall in the neck and the crown of the head. Really long, as if you're trying to take the pressure of the skull off the vertebrae in the neck. And then very, very slowly take the right ear towards the right shoulder. Very, very slowly take the left ear towards the left shoulder. Bring it back through center. Take your hands behind you, maybe placing them on your hips. Placing your hands, palms up on your hips. Press, connect. Maybe a little bend in your hips, and your knees, sorry. And then take your right ear towards the right shoulder. Connect with really pushing left hand into left hip. So not pushing forward, you're pushing the hip back into the hand, that counter pressure, letting that the left side of your neck feel a little different experience. Right ear to right shoulder. Other side. Left ear to left shoulder. Connect with the right hand, pushing a little into the hip. And bring it back. Slowly release the hands. Take slow circles with the hands. Bring the arms up ahead of the shoulders. Start to rock on the feet. So coming up onto the balls of the feet, rocking back onto the heels, maybe lifting the toes. Rock on the feet, lifting up, rock back. Finding the muscles of the legs, nice and slow. And then for our challenge, coming up onto the balls of the feet, sinking the hips to a chair. Take the pressure out of the low back. Use the stomach. Find your center of gravity right at the hips there. Squeeze the legs like you're squeezing the knees together, but also pushing the knees to hip width. So the whole leg is strong and active. Hold. And then we're going to, as slow as we can, lower the hips. Slow, slow. Slow as you can, lower the hips. Try not to sink the hips onto the heels. Lift up, control your movement. Take the knees nice and slow out to the side. Into the center. And either hold here or sit down. If you want to try the challenge, You're going to try to lift up and maybe send that left leg forward. Woo. Hold. Maybe you can start to play with one foot. So switch sides. Play with landing on one foot. Or maybe just land in your seat whenever you're ready. All the hard work is done. So just another little quick exercise before we finish. We're going to use our block and our band to experience our base. So make your way down to your back. You have the band, wrap it around your low legs. So one of the places that we hold tension a lot in is our base, our legs, our ankles, our hips. So we're going to experience pushing into the band. So make sure your hips are landed on the ground first. Push your hips down, push your rib cage down into the ground. Don't worry about that lower back. Use the core to keep you stable. Press the legs into the band. Really feel legs active and strong on the outside of the leg. Push the balls of the foot away. Push the toes towards the shin. Really have an experience with your legs. Feel what it feels like to be tight in around the edges of your legs and your hips. Outsides of your legs and hips. Release the band. Place the block between the shins. And then press like you're trying to squeeze the block. Again, just making sure you're pressing your hips towards the ground. Rib cage towards the ground, you're nice and stable, your lower back is not doing the work. Squeeze the legs like you're trying to crunch the block. Notice any compensation patterns, notice your face, your shoulders, your hands. Are you gripping? Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And then release the block. Allow the feet to land on the ground and tap them. So tap your feet. And then start to soften the legs and let the knees soften. Let the feet tap. Find your breath. And then land the feet and let the hips shimmy. So push into one foot at a time. Let the weight shimmy across both feet. So now we're looking for softness. This is like a cellular reset movement. Nothing's tight. Everything's soft. We want everything to wiggle and shake and loosen. Because we just taught everything what it feels like to be strong and stable, and now we want to know the opposite. So let go, shimmy, loosen. Take a deep breath in, and with the exhale, land suddenly. Maybe your feet come out to Shavasana. Maybe it's more comfortable for your feet to be up and your knees to be in. Maybe you put your feet onto a chair. Find your resting pose that works for you and you alone. Forget about everybody else's rules and find the position that works for your body. Begin to soften, control. Notice your breath just long enough so that you can notice the muscles that restrict around the breath. Maybe the muscles in the stomach, maybe the muscles in the chest. Maybe you tighten around your neck when you bring your focus here. Notice. Just find your own internal experience. And then let go. Soften control of your breath. Allow it to breathe. Allow your body to breathe without control of the mind. I'm going to read from the Radiant Sutra today. Watch for a moment in which two opposing perceptions occur. Wanting to go and not going. Knowing and simultaneously not knowing. In the midst of this dilemma, let go of both perceptions. Jump in to the interval in between. Reality flashes forth. Your being is a shining field of awareness, the continuum in which opposites play. So thinking about our base, thinking about the feet we use all day walking around, the legs and hips that keep us stable, and thinking about telling each and every single one of those muscles, one at a time, that they can soften and let go of gripping and take a break. Thinking about being grounded and on the ground, feeling the support of the ground below. Maybe even taking a moment to say to yourself, right here in this moment, all of my needs are met. And then thinking about the space between the hips and the heart. Often this area is thought of as our place of emotion. Whenever we describe in language feelings, we often say things that relate to this space. Butterflies in my stomach. We have our feeling centers often felt in the physical body in this lower space, the space between the hips and the rib cage, basically. So thinking about this space for a few breaths, and thinking about being wonderfully soft and free of gripping and holding patterns in this space. Allowing this space to feel soft and open and free to move. So it is the nature of our thoughts and the nature of our feelings to flow and move. They are filters for our environment, and they're ever changing, and they're supposed to flow. The only time that this flow is troublesome is when the head gets caught in the feelings, or the feelings get caught in the head, and we go through these cycles of trying to cognitively understand the thoughts too much or the feelings too much. So imagine just resting in this space between the hips and the rib cage. And imagine the flow of a river or the flow of an ocean softly flowing through this space. Anything moving, maybe you have a circular ball of energy. Something that helps you visually connect with movement in this space. Nature movement, movement free of worry and fear and gripping. And just moving, exploring. Not free of negative feeling. Negative feelings, negative thoughts are part of our world. Trying not to fight or judge, but allowing a flow in this space. We're not injecting happiness. We're just exploring what is present. Opening and softening and allowing flow in this space. If you have the time to take more time, more breath in this space, please take as much time as your body needs. Find the rest in the resting pose. If you need to be finished at 60 minutes today, gently bring some wiggles to your fingers and toes. Slowly bend a knee at a time and make your way to a fetal position. Curling up in a little ball, whatever side is calling to you. Grounding down, arriving in the fetal position. Thinking about the concept of being grounded, of allowing your emotions to flow as they naturally flow, and then arriving in our heart center, our metaphysical heart, the center of unconditional love, whether for ourselves or for the world, the place where we connect. We often feel it right here in our chest, our heart center. A baby giggles and we can't help but giggle with them, or we see a sunset, we often touch our heart, touch our center. So thinking about this center, we're grounded, we're letting our emotions flow. Now thinking about this heart center and thinking about what is contained here, which is unconditional love. And allowing unconditional love to flow through to our base, to throw through our flowing emotions, and then to flow upwards towards the flowing thoughts. Unconditional love and kindness for ourselves, for the way that we are, for the thoughts, no matter what they're doing, for the feelings, no matter what they're doing, for the physical body, no matter where it's at. And then bringing your hands to prayer at heart space and coming to a seat, or the other way around, coming to a seated position. Bring your hands to prayer at heart space. Complete your practice in this position, a little ritual. This gesture of bringing our left and right sides to meet in front of our heart, a gesture of accepting ourselves as whole and complete, precisely as we are. Honoring that little unconditional love center. Feeling our unconditional love center and then allowing it to shine out. Maybe just out into a little bubble around us, or maybe you can imagine sending it particularly to someone who might need it. Allowing that unconditional love to glow forward. May we all know love, light, and connection. Thank you for joining us.